Go ahead and start.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I was having trouble. Anyway, welcome. And if you wish to address the board on a particular, please let the beginning of the meeting, and your request will be honored. And comments on an anyway, we
Let us work on that audio. We're hearing ourselves.
Ourselves, right? But delayed.
Yes.
let me get. That was the
If not, I was getting ready to call it again.
that was the forest range. So.
That's what you sound like, Derek. Now we're good.
All right. Can those on the YouTube still hear us? You won't be able to respond, but I know Mr. Sumner's on the YouTube. You can give us a text to make sure we're still broadcasting audio. Okay. All right.
So we can proceed.
Yes.
3-minute bill again, or did that come?
Only those who are in the room will be speaking, so that should work.
Okay, well, we'll go. Okay. With that, we'll go.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second that motion.
We have a motion, a second. Seeing none, we'll proceed.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second that motion.
Have a motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, motion. Agenda item. Gary Smith. Presentation on.
Mr. Chairman, we sent the link to Mr. Smith a few minutes before the meeting began, and I do not see him as a participant on the meeting yet. The feedback I'm getting from people is saying that they're having a hard time hearing you. Is your mic turned on?
Yes.
Hmm. Some of us don't need mics, and so.
Yeah, it's working.
Check, check, check. Oh, that works.
Medium day for meetings.
Cases.
Okay, and you say, Jeff?
He is not on the meeting yet. So with that, if we could perhaps move to item number 5.
We would move to, and, when he comes on, then we'll allow you to speak and he'll have his presentation. Is that all right?
Very good.
So with that, we'll go to agenda item 5, Tony Hines, Public Works Manager, Leaks and Facility.
Good morning, Tony Hines, Police Facility Manager.
Got the experts here now.
See Gary, it's all Scott Adams, so put your sign on.
Go, go.
They can't blame it on me.
Not your fault.
Want a bit? Want a bit? The sheriff is cussing you out, whatever, one to the other.
This one? Yeah, it's. This is 3, no? Covers. That was like
The covers, yeah, on the desk.
Oh.
Yeah, like 10.
Oh, I'm like 3.
Way I'll be a 10.
What's that? 1, 10, 3. Oh, that makes sense.
You guess the way I'll be a 10.
Numero uno, right here.
Hello, test. Test, test. 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 I suppose they can hear me on the feed. So. And when Mr. Smith gets, the meeting, I have one request. Agenda item 4. Smith, so Fleet and Facilities. Tony, thank you.
Morning, Tony Hines, Chief Facilities Manager. We're looking for the approval on the contract to maintain the generators and the transfer switches through the Empire. This is the annual contract that we've done every.
And both of the units are CAT equipment, correct?
No, there's 2 generators that are own-ins,
Oh, okay.
3 that are
That's the one here, okay.
They manage all of those, though.
own-ins. Yes, they do all.
And, but is there,
Yes.
there was, okay,
Yeah. good, but-
thank you.
Well, I move that we approve the generator and transfer switch maintenance contract through Empire as presented.
I second that motion.
A motion and discussion. Please indicate by
Aye.
aye, motion. We now go to agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A little history would be helpful here. Prior to the pandemic, we had arrangements with several local providers, charities, and one podiatrist organization that we helped provide some funding to keep services with the primary goal of keeping seniors in their own homes. We are fully aware that the Altex program is charged to each county based on utilization. And so every senior that we can keep in their home with services there is much less expensive to the county, but it also provides the best mode and method of care for those seniors as well. So we have, prior to the pandemic, we have funded things like the senior bus. We helped pay for some of the cost of the driver, as well as insurance premiums. The podiatry clinic was something where a podiatrist comes in and provides services primarily to the elderly and some diabetics. And then we also have done the Meals on Wheels program. SECAS would provide meals at Senior Citizen and Senior Center in Duncan and Clifton. The one in Duncan is currently closed because they don't have a facility to host the meals in, but they are providing Meals on Wheels to residents in the Duncan area. During the pandemic, we did not make those donations. Many of these services closed down temporarily. 2 of the organizations, SECAS and Easter Seals as well, both went through leadership changes. And so whereas every year we would get a letter saying, can you help us fund these things? Those letters didn't come. As we began to come out of the pandemic and try and go back to normal operations, we contacted some of the organizations, found out there had been some changes, and it's taken us quite a while to sort out who's providing services. I want to shout out to Laura Garcia in our office. I gave her the task of sorting all this out. She did a fantastic job of running down where we've given donations in the past, what we had budgeted for, and between her and Renee, we were able to get a historical look of what we've done in the past and where those donations have come from and to. The list that's provided in the memo is, as near as we can tell, those organizations that are providing services in Green County. The podiatry services is actually a contract, and we paid half, and the other half is due. So while it's not a traditional donation, it's actually a contract that we have with the podiatrist. I want to bring that up in this context because it's under that same service umbrella. Easter Seals, we understand, is running a bus in both Duncan and Clifton. And before we make any payments, we will confirm that these services are being provided by the organizations listed. If for some reason we've got that wrong, we will either get it to the right organization, or if we need to, we'll come back to the board to make that clear. But we had in the past budgeted a certain amount for Clifton and a certain amount for Duncan. I'm not certain historically why we divided it that way. It may have been 2 different organizations providing the service. We understand now that it's the Blake Foundation doing both, but we will clarify that. And then, of course, the insurance to help subsidize the cost of the insurance for the buses. SECAS is the Meals on Wheels provider. I visited with their new CEO and visited with her about what they're providing. And she talked about the difficulties of the Duncan area, but that they are providing as many meals as they can by by transport. The Greenleaf Food Bank was a organization that we had donated to many, many years ago, and had not in recent years. But with the, some of the changes that have taken place, we have budgeted for it. And so with that, the Greenleaf Food Bank actually provides services. They distribute commodities in both the Duncan and Clifton areas, provide an outstanding service. And so since that money was budgeted, although we have not made that donation recently, I wanted to bring it to the board's attention. None of these, of course, are mandatory, but I did have Renee check, and all of this money has been budgeted. So this is, we're not going outside our regular budgeting parameters on this. And with that, I'll answer any questions. My recommendation is that we make the donation as presented.
So I just have a comment. Derek, so this figure here on this item reflects what has been donated in the past?
That reflects what we budgeted the current year. That's, if you take all the numbers on the memo and add them up, the 91,626, I think it is, that is the sum total of all the recommendations.
Everything that you just mentioned.
Correct.
And is it close to what we've paid out in the past?
It is.
Okay.
It is, like say, with the Easter seals, it was broken into three different donation categories. So that number, that 71,000 looks larger than what we've done in the past, whereas before it was 42, 21, and I think 6,500, somewhere in there. But yes, that represents all of the, that we've done historically. We did not make them the last 2 years.
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
years maybe, but that's historically about where we've been.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
I know that we, historically, and I know that we've been asked for other donations to charitable organizations. I know in the past we've sponsored, the Javelina Chase. We sponsored the Colors of Copper. We're being asked to be involved in the San Francisco River thing as well. Is that, do we have a bucket or under that, same fund, do we have a bucket of not to exceed, or is that maybe something that we look at to where annually we create that bucket and stay within that?
We have tried each year to establish a bucket, if you will, a budget category for charitable donations. Other than these that we have made regularly, and these are, like I say, tied to a specific purpose of caring for our seniors.
Mhm.
But in those cases where, like the Colors of Copper and so forth, we would have a bucket of charitable donations, and it was limited. Sometimes I think it was $10,000.
Okay. Yeah.
In that neighborhood. And so I appreciate, for example, the San Francisco River cleanup folks. Answer that. When they come and, before the budget year and give a specific ask, that's really helpful because we can then plan for that. But when, and they do sometimes, requests come in mid-year,
Mhm.
we have established a line item for those kinds of donations.
Okay.
And sometimes it's never used, and sometimes it's part of it.
Right.
And Mr. Chairman, that was the reason that I asked the question in regards to this amount, if it was going to include what Ron just asked. So that doesn't include
It
here.
is not.
No.
And is there any funds budgeted for that category?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we needed to, let's say someone comes next meeting and says, could you donate $500 to this good cause, and the board decides it's there, we would have the money to fund that request.
Okay.
And in our next, one of those things we'll cover in our next budget session is how big of a pot do we want.
Right. That's good.
We sort of leave that static, but as things increase, we may want to bump that up a little bit.
Okay.
Well, we all have budgets, and so that's why I thought, it'd be good to kind of come up with that
Yes.
that amount annually or something.
And the world of charitable needs doesn't always match our fiscal year.
Yeah.
And so we try to build some of that in. But this is stuff that we had specifically budgeted for these purposes, aside from any other charitable donation the board may have chosen to make.
Sounds good.
Understood.
But with that, I move that we approve of the donations to charitable and professional organizations as budgeted, not to exceed 91,296 in total donations as presented.
I second that motion.
We have a motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Agenda item 7, Derek Repair, county and state budget legislative issues.
Thank you. The only message from the state that seems to be consistent is that the news doesn't change very much down there. I have read and talked to folks, I imagine our chairman is even more in tune than I am, that there is still budget talks going on, but they seem to be fairly low level. Right now, things are stalled for a second week because the Marion County Board of Supervisors has not appointed anybody to fill the vacancy caused by the expulsion of Representative Harris. There is no statutory requirement on when they have to make that appointment. There is a statutory timeline for the precinct committee people to nominate, and they've met that deadline, but there's no deadline to appoint. Without her appointment, there is no clear majority in the House. And there's only been minimal interest in reaching across the aisle to solve budget issues. From what we're being told, each member has been given an allotted amount of money to designate where they like to go. Most are choosing road projects. We're trying to get interest on the line. But with those designations, the Republicans are saying they've got their half the budget worked out. They gave a certain amount of money to the Democrats and said, you sort out how you want to spend it. And at least the rhetoric in print right now is that that process is broken down somewhat. If there's anything we've learned over the last many, many years is that there may be lots of things going on in the budget discussions, and there's lots of things said in the media, and it's hard to connect the two sometimes. From our perspective, we have met with all of the departments and electeds, and we are currently in the process right now of assembling those individual budgets. That's why I don't have a budget work session today. But we'll be making, between myself, Austin, and Renee, we'll be making a lot of headway in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and so we can present you a preliminary outlook of what the budget looks like. We received revenue numbers from the state on our vehicle licensing tax, PILT estimates, our shared sales tax revenue estimates, and one other that escapes me. The BLT, all of them except the shared sales tax revenue are coming in about normal expected. Shared sales tax revenue projection is down by almost $1 million this year. We have never relied on DOR's estimates for our own estimates. They usually overshoot, but they've been known to undershoot as well. Some of their estimates are based on the Fiscal Advisory Council, as well as other economic forecasters at GOVC and the governor's office, all of whom are predicting an economic slowdown by the end of the year. That horizon seems to continue to creep out, whereas 12 months ago they thought we'd be in recession now. Now we're looking perhaps at the end of 2023. But I think those shared sales tax revenues reflect that pessimistic view of the next 12-month period. Our own shared sales tax revenue over the last probably 4 or 5 months has leveled and dropped a little bit. Our local excise tax, or half-cent sales tax, has likewise dropped a little bit. Some of that is predictable due to the adjustments to the taxation on electricity for our local sales tax. On the shared sales tax revenue side, we're still up, but over the last 9 months, year over year, we are at or below last year's level, and I think 7 of the 9 months. And so we are seeing some slow. Now, having said that, last year was an unusually prosperous, one might say, sales tax year. I don't believe at this point that it's going to require us to change our normal operations, but it's something we watch every month. And of course, we have the reserve set up in our budget, which is currently set at $4.5 million. That if those revenues continually drop for 3 months in a row, at that point we bring back the board and we begin to review our spending. If it continues, then we freeze hiring, we do some other things to conserve what resources we have to get through the year. I don't see that alarm bell sounding yet, but we will watch it month to month. We will, however, project a lower shared sales tax revenue this year than we did last year for our budgeting purposes. We should have a fairly decent cash carry forward that'll make up for that. That cash carry forward, of course, is a year-to-year event. And then on the property tax side, our assessed value is down, which means the tax rate to maintain the same revenue will go up a little bit. It stays in a fairly narrow bandwidth, but our assessed value, primarily centrally assessed, has gone down this year. So this board, probably more than most, because of our unique tax circumstance, is aware of the inverse relationship between property values and property tax rates. But those are the building blocks that we're working with right now. Other than that, there are few real surprises. And so I'll take any questions on the budget.
I don't have any.
No, pretty clear.
And with that, while we work on getting Mr. Smith in the meeting, I will cover the calendar. Today, we're first meeting May on the 2nd. Chairman, are we continuing to have LPC, or is that suspended while they're on spring break?
They suspended it last, and I haven't heard, but I haven't heard, so I imagine it's suspended again. If there's nothing to discuss if no one's meeting, so.
Right, and I believe that other than a couple of bills now and again, most of them are going to be tied to the budget. They won't really hear those until they get serious about a budget. We have, of course, on the 12th, our county managers meeting. There will also be a ASIP board meeting that day. We've been trying to meet pretty much the same time as county managers for our insurance pool. We have the WIR regional conference, which will be held in St. George, that's right,
Yes.
Washington County, Utah,
Yes.
this year on the 17th through the 19th. There's a STIGO meeting. There's one tomorrow for the Administrative Council. I will not be able to attend it. I've talked to Randy Heiss about that. For the board's information, I in my second year of serving on the Administrative Council leadership, and I consented to go ahead and I will be the vice chair next year of the Administrative Council. I believe our, you're the chairman of the
Currently, yeah.
So there's a STIGO meeting, I believe it's the Executive Council on the 19th. I don't have a time set. I guess it's 9 o'clock.
10 o'clock
10 o'clock. Okay.
in Graham County.
In Graham, that'll be hosted.
Actually, we have a meeting at 3 o'clock the day before because we're kind of shuffling through all the resumes and applications for
Okay.
replacement of Randy Heiss, who's going to retire this year.
Good. Very good. Junior Rodeo Series continues on the 20th. And then we have our second board meeting of the month on the 23rd. That following day will be the small counties and the ECO meeting. And those are split at 2 and 5 or 5:30. CSA Board of Directors on the 25th. And then, of course, we have Duncan Emergency 8th grade promotion. Following night is graduation for both Morency and Duncan. And then we be closed for Memorial Day on the 29th. We have currently scheduled a budget meeting on the 31st. If we cover enough ground on the 23rd, we may skip the 31st, but we will, we'll see. If our goal is to get as much done as we can on that next regular board meeting. Into June, we have meetings on the 6th and on the 20th, with extra budget meetings on the 14th and the 28th. On the 20th, we have to adopt a tentative budget. If we meet that deadline, then the one on the 28th will go away. If we don't, then we will adopt on the 20th. That's really the last day we can do it. We still meet all of our qualification deadlines. Yeah, with the other WIFA board meetings, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, they're
they're regular.
regular, very regular.
Do you want these on that calendar?
That's,
Okay.
it's
or
whatever.
perhaps, will you get with us afterwards? We can place them all on the calendar.
Okay.
whichever works best for you.
She's doing a good job. They're both correct.
Okay. In June, we'll have a county manager meeting on the 9th. And we typically don't have CSA in June. Moving into July, work will be closed on the 4th. We'll have a regular scheduled board meeting on the 6th, and we'll adopt the final budget on the 20th. I see we have junior rodeos on the 15th and the 29th. And I forgot the one on the 24th of June. There will likely be a county managers meeting in July. And in August, there won't be CSA in July, but we start back up in August. Certainly we will be there by September. So,
Only September is when the CSA starts.
When does school start in July?
okay.
I'll find out. Usually around the 25th or something.
And we can certainly add those, schools starting, we know that will start in July, emergency in August.
Okay.
And I think that takes us through July. And we'll be happy to add anything you'd like us to add.
With on the 19th of July.
July.
She has it already for the others.
Okay. Very good.
Anything to add or?
Nope.
Okay, do we have Mr. Smith or?
He is on the telephone. I have got his PowerPoint. He was not able to join the Teams meeting. We tried to get him to.
Well, why don't we
Would you like to present today, or would you like to put this off to another meeting?
And it says contact, need you to sign in, and then we'll get. But there's no screen to sign in, there's no place to sign in. So, I'm kind of stuck on this Microsoft Teams. So, if you would like, I can go ahead and give you, the update on the Arizona trail over this place.
I do. Would you like me to pull up your slide presentation and have you walk us through? Is that okay with the chairman?
Yes, but we.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith? Request to speak on this. So with that, give the floor over.
It's interesting, and maybe it goes along with one of the things I wanted to say too. I did work with the Forest Service for several summers. And one of the things I did was some of the trail work mostly off state care campgrounds, but I wanted to try to make sure she could find the head. The trailhead of every trail that was in there. It's not always easy to know on to do. One of the things that we have in Lee County is the segment of what we call Grand Enchantment Trail, which goes from Phoenix to Albuquerque. So I was working with our trying to make sure that we found on the route there. I did run across somebody who was hiking that at one point. I don't know how nice the trail is. Overall, it looked kind of interesting. We're trying to get the signs in place. The thing I wanted to mention, that one of the things I heard was from the Forest Service folks was that with the advent of the GPS, all the technology, sometimes makes it where people are less likely to get lost, and sometimes it makes it more likely to get lost. As they count upon the GPS, get them through things, and we all know that there are places out there where we don't have good access. I just wanted to say whatever kind of connection we get to Greeley County. Make sure
Mr. Smith, if you,
I've got your slide up, your introductory slide up, and if you'd like, you can tell me when you'd like me to advance to the next slide.
State parks can only give grants to designated trails that are 501c3 organizations, and that's what we are. So the Arizona Alpine Trail is a big deal for the state. It touches you only in one place, but it's really important. So the is a it goes we the master plan so the obviously is going through now. And the forest seven along the Jeffrey. Because you. So,
Second slide. 576.
see, here's on how. We're working. We're back. Business. Most writers. So. Just a two. And, yeah. Finish up there. Be on the trail, maybe 5 or 6 of this. So. I'm the president, and we have several people. We have several people. So, it's really. The. If there's any, anything that.
I had a question, sir. This is Senator Campbell. Sorry, we're having feedback. Mike, can you be okay right now? When anticipate this, implement?
Highways. The trail is totally inaccessible right now.
Yeah, it does. And just wanted to, extend my, appreciation and, uh, offer to assist when it does get rolled out and you are going to, get it in the area of Hannigan Meadow and we start to see, people using that. I'll definitely be in discussions with the owners of Hannigan Meadow and let them know about the, requests for available fuel, et cetera. So I look forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Supervisor. Yeah, I'm in touch with Larry myself, so he's been very responsive. He said, yeah, this sounds great to him. We have, by the way, one of the things that has happened on the, I mentioned the Peace Trail in western Arizona, and the developer of that trail is a good friend now. We've been, and he's helped us a lot on this one. He said that a lot of the small towns on his trail, let's say they had 20 motel rooms in some of these small places. Once the trail was established and people really started using it, they had to build more. They had to build another 50% more rooms just to accommodate the riders on the trail, because this is something that there's a lot of people in the valley in Phoenix and Tucson that would love to come up and ride in our mountains, and they just don't know where to go. And this trail gives them an opportunity to do that, and it's organized and it lets them figure out exactly where they want to stay overnight and how many miles they want to travel a day, which, by the way, is usually about an average maybe of 60 miles in a day. On an OHV, you travel about 10 miles an hour average. So that'd be a 6-hour day. Some of them are longer. Some of the stretches are longer than that. But at any rate, people are not going to go over 100 miles a day. So they are going to stop. And hopefully they'll spend a lot of money when they're stopping. That's the idea, is to really boost the economy of rural Arizona with this trail. Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Smith, and thank you. I guess this trail will be open seasonally, and who will be in charge of when there's extreme snow in the area? Who will be in charge of making sure that OHV don't get out there and get stranded in 6-foot snow drifts?
Good question. We have, by the way, we do have some organizations of snowmobilers that want to use the trail in the winter. And they said they would keep the trail open for us. And we also we partner with people like the Pine Top area, the White Mountain Open Trails Association in Payson, the trail organization, TRAL, Rich Smith runs that. In your area, the Apache County ATV Club is a partner. And so we draw from those people for maintenance and letting us know if a certain trail is closed. You're right, this is a seasonal trail for OHVers. It's not going to be open in the winter. We're looking at a season from probably April to October. During certain years, we can ride it all year. You and I both know that there are winters where we just don't get any snow, and that's not good, for the trees and for the skiers and everything else, but it would leave the trail open. So we'll monitor that and we'll close portions of the trail as deemed necessary for that.
David, do you have? Well, thank you so much for your presentation. It sounds exciting. And there's a lot of OHV riders out there who would just love a trail like this. I know I've ridden some of them around Springerville that they have the little, and some of those trails are phenomenal. And to have a 600 to 700 mile trail that is a loop is just, I think it will, as the word gets out, it will become more and more used because that is an exceptional trail. And thank you for your vision.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time and Derek, if it's appropriate, I will send you a request for support of the trail and a request for funding.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you, supervisors. You all have a great day yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's not working, so. We will now go to agenda item 8, consent agenda.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda as posted.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion to second. Is there any discussion on any of the items? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. We'll go to agenda item 9, supervisor reports. Mr. Campbell.
I don't have anything at this time.
Okay, well, Derek alluded to what's happening over the legislature. Yes, there are some wait and see, but with trying to replace Liz Harris, as you know, to get a budget out, you need 31 and 16 and 1. And so right now they're in stall move because no one can get anything done. You've probably heard there's been a lot on the news about the tamale bill it was a bill that passed both chambers with more than enough votes to override a veto. Well, so the leadership decided that they would, because the Governor Hobbs did veto the bill for food safety. And so the legislatures thought they would override or veto, which they need two-thirds votes in both chambers. And when it went through chambers, it had a major majority. Well, when they tried to override the governor's veto, it failed. So that's probably the biggest thing that's been happening over there. Also, as you know, I'll now go to WIR, which is happening at the end, towards the middle of this month. It's in St. George, Utah. There's 3 commissioners or supervisors that are trying for the second vice president. And we heard from them yesterday on a call. All 3 of them I thought did an outstanding job. And that election will happen at our meeting. Also, at small counties, we hosted and we tried to, Senator Gowan was there and gave us an update. And then we had a presentation on Greeley County budgeting issues and statewide importance, and Derek did an outstanding job on his presentation. There were many questions, but kudos go to Derek for doing an outstanding, taking a very complex issue and making it where we could understand it. Also appreciate Bianca. She was over there helping and didn't have to worry about a thing. Other than that, we had a junior rodeo. The numbers were down some. I think we had 63 participants. But there was also some competing factors, so I think our numbers will go up. But I have to give kudos to Tony Hind. He got us some new chairs for up there in the crow's nest, I call it, and got a lot of praise. They were really nice chairs, and then also they'd asked for walkie-talkies. He had them there. They were used throughout the night. So Tony, I want to publicly thank you for what you and your staff do and for the support that you give the many activities that occur throughout the county. And with that, that's my report. There being no other business on the agenda, this board meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.